What's good, everybody? Welcome to the first episode, I believe, I think, of what's going to be the Fgeitas show. I'm your host, Fgeitas, and well, now we'll do video games stuff. We're here to talk about video games, and you know, if video games, right? Like, don't you know what video games are? Well, you've come to the right place. You've come to the right place if you don't know about video games. I don't know what those are either, so I guess we'll find out together, you know. Welcome everybody, welcome in. Welcome Abscaln in chat, welcome Sea Lion, welcome everyone who's here for the first episode. We're gonna talk about, you know, random stuff. Gonna talk about what my plans are with this and why I decided to suddenly do some news and some requests, because turns out some ideas are great when you're just traveling and going far away into the mountains and you're just chatting about random shit, and your girlfriend goes to talks to you and say, hey, you have a bunch of useless information about video game history, maybe you should do something with that. And I'm like, yeah, you know what, it's not a bad idea, I guess. Hey Mark, how you doing? Welcome to the chat as well. Yeah, it turns out like I need to talk about a bunch of shit and get it out of my system for lots of reasons, you know, because everyone has an opinion, and I guess mine should be out there as well. I've been covering video games for the past 8 years in various capacities, and following the industry like close. I'm not gonna say I'm very tech savvy, but definitely will try to give some honest opinions. I'll see if I transform this into like some kind of podcast, so you guys can listen to it later in some form of capacity. But yeah, like that's basically the plan, like trying to do this for as long as possible. With my crappy equipment, I'm still using a C920, and I'm still like rocking some, you know, off-brand LED lights, so you guys can see my face over here. But yeah, like I've set up some stuff. I'm gonna send this here. I set up Discord. Podcast will be in English, despite everything. Nightbot is not giving me the link for some reason. Thank you, Nightbot, for already fucking up. Is it because... There you go. I'm Nightbot now. Get Nightbotted. My Nightbot actually censored himself. So before we head on to the news, like I want to talk a little bit about you know, video games. Yes, I got stingers. I got stingers because I thought it'd be cool for me to do some, at least, separation between the different parts of what I'm about to talk. I haven't played much lately, you know, like New Year's happened, Christmas happened, and I have a bunch of birthdays on that time of year, and it's, oh my god, like I can't have enough time for me to even sit down and play video games besides all the work that I do. So what happened was, like, I started a game last week called Grizz, which you guys might have heard about. And it's like an RC platformer made by Nomad Studio, and finished the next day. I think it's kind of cool. Like, it's not, like, I don't have much an opinion on it, despite, I'm gonna say the only thing that I didn't like as much was the true ending being locked behind all the collectibles, because the true ending actually explains most of the story. And if you don't get all the collectibles, which are sometimes not quite easy to get, you will get a notion of that something's happening, but not exactly what happened. And locking that type of content behind the 100% playthrough, it's like I don't ever think it's a good idea, especially when it comes to artsy games, because the message just gets lost. In other news, so I started this game on Friday, finished on Saturday, and I decided to finally pull the plug and jump the gun to Disco Elysium. I finally started Disco Elysium. Man, Disco Elysium is definitely a game. I don't know if you guys ever played it in chat, but Disco Elysium is definitely, like, I wasn't expecting that game to be so dense. First of all, like, there's a lot of text with in Disco Elysium, and a lot of like really like clever jokes mixed in between that sometimes like might not land as well, or like we missed it if we are just like skimming through text. But yeah, like so like to give you the rundown, like Disco Elysium, you start your game as a alcoholic cop that wakes up in his hotel apartment or in hotel room, completely wasted, like fully hangover, and before you can even see whatever is going on, you have a deep conversation with yourself that it's your mind trying to grasp the concept of having an actual flesh body, and it's absolutely hilarious. Like, first of all, like as soon as the game starts, you're already arguing with yourself, like if you actually exist or not. It's so funny, like that thing like immediately hooked me up. And as soon as I got up and I started doing the tutorial stuff, and it plays pretty much like I'm gonna say a mix of RPG, like the computer RPGs of the past, with like like isometric perspective, and they have a bunch of stuff in the scene, in the scenario to interact, but also like it's not as dense as a normal RPG, and it's more close to a graphic adventure, or a point and click if you want. And like as soon as I got up, I got my clothes on, or the character's clothes on, and I decided to turn on the light. And because I made a custom character that had like a really low health pool, as soon as I turn on the light, my health goes to 0 because I had a brain aneurysm from like being sensible to the light source. And because I turned on the light immediately above my eyes, I basically immediately crashed down and had a game over screen, and it was just like fucking hilarious. I love that shit. Like, and it's really funny. So I immediately restarted the game and like, okay, I can't do stupid shit like this, so I need to keep trying and like at least go through the tutorial and see what's up. So I go through the tutorial, I find out I'm investigating a crime scene there, and like 1 hour in, I see a coat hanging on like a balcony or some sorts, and I need to do like a small jump, I'd say, like a 2-meter jump at max, so I can go into that balcony and grab the coat. And because my guy is absolutely dog shit of like he has an absolute dog shit physique, he tries to jump and immediately regrets the jump, like he doesn't even get to the ledge and jumps. He gets there and like slows down, looks at the ledge and says, "I can't do it. I can't do it." And I really let myself go in the past years. Like I'm depressed. I'm divorced. I'm a raging alcoholic right now. I'm gonna quit the case and go live under a bridge. And I got my second game over screen. And it's like so fucking hilarious. Like it's so good. Hey Retro Mary, welcome to the stream, to the first Fgeitas show. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, Disco Elysium. Like in the meantime, I started like playing a little, like investigating the crime a little bit more. I found out what I think it's my ex-wife letters. And so like an old letter of her like just talking to me like about good times and good moments that we spent through, and depression hits again. And I got another and like I didn't get another game over screen, but I got a black screen for quite a while, and it's just the guy trying to recompose itself. It's so funny. Like it's very dark in some capacity. Like your character really has like, I'm not gonna say a self-hatred. I don't think he hates himself, but he does not think very well of himself. And it's so funny that it just like everything you do in that game. So you have like the skill checks, like you have like in traditional Dungeons and Dragons, and I think like the most difference that I can think about for like games like based on Dungeons and Dragons and Disco Elysium is that usually when you do a skill check in Dungeons and Dragons or like Baldur's Gate or whatever, you have like a high probability of actually achieving what you're trying to do, and so you go from there, right? With Disco Elysium, it's like you're going to do a skill check, and most of the times you're going to fumble, and the next few minutes is you trying to figure out how you're going to get away from the fumble you just did, like in various, either like by talking or by like some physical check or like some encyclopedia, like remembering history check. It's so hilarious. And yeah, like I got like 6 hours in, not that much. I've done my round of investigating around like the crime scene. I'm not going to spoil what that is. It's quite it might have some triggering effects if you guys are not into more crime stuff and crime scenes. It's not gory or anything, but there's some stuff in there, like some dark stuff. But yeah, like it's been fun. Like I'm looking really forward to like keep playing that game. Maybe next week I'll have like something more to talk about. And besides that, like I haven't been playing pretty much anything else except Tekken, I guess. Like I got back into Tekken because like my goal this year is actually go to Evo Friends and try at least not get my ass kicked in the first round, which is probably what's gonna happen. But in the meantime, like Tekken, Disco Elysium, and like just go, trying to see if I try to get better at Tekken, in the meantime, we're gonna do what we're here to do, which is to talk news. So check this out. I got a stinger. Welcome to the news, everyone. Actually, let me know how like the volume is, because I want to like make sure like you guys are not getting blasted by whatever like this shady ass program I'm using to tell you. Okay, not too high, I hope. Yeah, let's go into the news. So I'm gonna drop this into the reaction screen. So I had a bunch of things planned, like to talk about. Like I have some video game predictions, some stuff that happened last week, but this week CES happened, and I'm gonna try and I'm not gonna cover like a bunch of stuff from CES, and one of the big reasons is I don't think CES has been exciting in the last like 10 years for me. I think maybe 15. Yeah, like sure, you got the new graphics cards, you got the new handhelds that they announced, some leaks like Virtua Fighter and like Virtua Fighter actually got a little bit of showcase in there, but it's just like a small clip. Thanks for the follow, Retro Mary. Actually, yeah, smooth transition. And yeah, like I don't think like most of all CES has been like kind of crappy in the last years. And like I look at the tech that is shown every year, and I'm like I don't think this changes like life in any meaningful way. You know, like it's all like a bunch of gimmicks, a bunch of random stuff that they show. Because I don't think like nothing will change our lives like in the beginning, like as I'm gonna say like the smartphone did. Maybe smartphones were the last like really life-changing piece of tech that actually changed our lives, right? So yeah, like you're not gonna see me cover like a bunch or talk about CES. Like we're gonna talk about the new GPUs, the new handheld, like the Legion Go, because it kind of crosses into gaming. But other than that, like I like it's just a bunch of bullshit. Like it's just a bunch of bullshit. It's you know, like TV's gotten better. Like yeah, cool, I guess. I think it was Dell that made a big announcement of the dropping the XPS line of laptops, and I'm like, I don't even think you need an announcement for this. It's like just change the brand, you know, like for you know, regular folks. Like I obviously, like there's like the tech people are gonna be like, oh no, they dropped the XPS brand. Oh, this is gonna change everything. And I'm like, for the regular people that are gonna go into a store and buy a laptop, I can't imagine like average Joe just running into a store and like, oh no, they changed the XPS like lineup. Where are they now? I can't see them anymore, and like have a, you know, like an aneurysm like Disco Elysium. I guess like that's not going to happen. But yeah, in the meantime, like obviously Nvidia announced their new graphics cards. The new GPUs, like starting at 500, like supposedly with a 4090 performance, and I'm like, yeah, no, that's not gonna happen, man. Like I think they're exaggerating about their new GPU performance. Absolutely. I'm not gonna say, like, obviously, like, we can go into the tech stuff. I don't like. We're not gonna get anywhere because tech right now is like it's getting to a peak, I guess. Graphics are getting to a peak, and everything is about the new frame generation, the DLSS. And I got mixed feelings on the DLSS stuff because, on one hand, DLSS stuff has been working great for me. Like I use it a lot, like on the Steam Deck, and it's cool, right? Like on the Steam Deck, you got a small screen, you got a compact device that goes with you, and you want a better performance with a, I guess, crappier hardware. But when I turn DLSS on my PC, on my desktop, the DLSS never works very well, I think. Might be me running like an older card, obviously, and I bet this stuff is gonna get better every time. But I like sometimes the trade-off of DLSS is like, hey, I'm gonna get a few more frames And like, don't get me wrong, I'm always like, I'm always for like getting more frames instead of like getting better graphics. I rather the game plays smoothly than just being pretty. Like that doesn't I don't care like if the game has 400 million pixels more than if I run at a lower resolution. I don't really like, it's not gonna do anything for me. But DLSS is like, usually it's choosing between having the game crisp and running like at a crappy frame rate, or having a little bit more, having the game a little bit blurrier and running better. And like sometimes it's like, I don't know if I want this. Like, do I want this much on my screen? And so I can get like I guess 10 FPS extra, or not really. But yeah, as a fighting game player, like frame rate is the most important. That's absolutely sure. And like I don't care if my King or if my Zangief looks pretty. I care if I can react to that jab, you know. But yeah, like we're gonna like look into this, like the new chipsets, also the pricing, man. I don't want to give, I don't want to travel somewhere to sell my kidney to buy a 5090. Okay, like 2K starting, you know, like starting at 2K, a 5090 is just like, I don't think this is going to be like for the general consumer overall. Like it's getting to a point where this is for enthusiasts, and even enthusiasts are gonna start to be like, can I really like afford this? To like, can I really afford to have the latest tech on inside my machine? Like, and can I just play at like with a 5070, maybe 70 Ti, which will be less than half of the price. Like, yeah, like Retro Marine chat says, like literally PC gaming is getting so expensive, it really does. Like it's been a long time coming, I guess. People like companies are like betting more and more on PC gaming, which is like it's a stark contrast for what happened in like starting, I guess, the 360 era and the PS2 era. Like as soon as we started getting like real powerful GPUs, like the tech has been like rising every passing year, and we're getting to a point where like even the cheapest GPU will compete easily with the latest generation. I'm not gonna say maybe a PS5 Pro, but maybe a simple PS5 will definitely like be beaten by a 5070. But then again, like a whole PC costs way more than a PS5 at this point, so it's not really like even fair in terms of comparison. But yeah, like they gave you know the key points. Virtua Fighter got a really a small clip in this presentation. It was cool. Like a lot of people are talking about Virtua Fighter like the second coming of Christ. I don't believe it, but we'll see. That clip was definitely awesome. In the mid range, you got the Radeon 9070s XT, which is, you know, it is what it is. It's AMD going for the mid range and letting Nvidia just like take that really expensive. Yeah, see, like it's a concept trailer. Like it really good, looks really good, but like yeah, it's not actual gameplay. There's one thing that I like getting sidetracked a little bit here. Like I think they're trying to make blocking a little bit cooler in this game, which kind of makes sense taking into account which team we're talking about. But I still think that like it will look like too far off from it. Graphically will be similar, but not really. Like that was highly choreographed. But like in their defense, they did show like, hey, this is just like in-engine trailer choreographed. It's not actual gameplay. So like, you know, it's just a concept. One thing that I'm actually kind of excited, like, it's the Lenovo Legion Go S, because it's the first third-party machine using the SteamOS, which is something that we've been expecting for quite a while, since it was kind of teased by Steam. It was kind of teased by Steam, like they were kind of finally releasing SteamOS for other platforms, and we see like we'll see the Lenovo Legion Go like being the first one. I don't know like how much of this is better than an actual Steam Deck, but honestly, like, my experience with the SteamOS has been like, it's been great to good. I'm gonna say that. I'm not gonna say it's been excellent. Like, a lot of games don't work. I needed to tinker with those. I wish I could still use natively the other apps like Epic Game Store and like GOG, at least, because I do have a bunch of games in there, and I can, like, you can, but you do need to go through hoops going to desktop mode, and it's not like it's not exactly like a seamless experience, I'd say, but it's possible. It just needs, you know, a little bit of patience. Linux is getting better, by the way. Retro Mary in chat saying she had really hard time using Linux. I'm gonna say, like, if you're in the Portuguese scene, you can check out. I actually want to give a shout out to Sufficious. She has been like gaming in Linux and gaming in oh yeah, like I forgot. Yeah, I got the SOs like ready to go. So Sufficious has been gaming in Linux, like doing everything in Linux, streaming as well, and she's a software developer doing Godot right now. She's doing a chess RPG in Godot, and it's been like really funny watching her like struggle against the limitations of the system, and honestly, like, just winning. So it's great. Like, she's proving that Linux has come a long way, but you do need a little bit of patience. It's not consumer level yet, I'd say. In the meantime, like, it's speaking of, you know, handhelds. Speaking of handhelds, Acer just announced this humongous of a handheld gaming device, Nitro Blaze 11, which, first of all, just let me say, I love the freaking name. Acer Nitro Blaze 11, it's great. Like, it's someone from, like, the guy from marketing that decided on the name is definitely a 2000s like teenager, for sure. Like, Nitro Blaze, motherfucker, let's go. But yeah, like, I hate this. I hate this device already. Like, I don't even know like how much it draws in terms of raw power. But as someone who's already complaining about the Switch being too big, the Steam Deck being too big, I don't want a fucking 11-inch tablet on my pocket with a, you know, with two Joy-Cons attached on the side. I hate this. I hate it. Like, where do you? At this point, just buy a fucking laptop, dude. Like, what the hell? Right? Like, I don't know if this has any other like advantages like over a laptop, right? Like, if it's running Windows, it should be just like a regular laptop. But like, I want portable devices to be portable. Like, one of my favorite gaming devices is actually just like it's a 3DS. The XL, I think the XL has the new XL 3DX has a good ratio of like screen size to pocketability, I guess. And I can just like fold it and put it on my pocket everywhere I go. I don't need a case. I don't need anything. Just like fold it, slap it on the pocket. I guess if you use women's pants, it's a little bit difficult because of all the all the handbags propaganda, I guess. But you know, as someone who used like quite deep pockets most of his life, I really enjoy like a small device that I can connect to the television or to like a second screen if I want to play big. But if I want to take it with me, please let it be portable. Like I don't want to have a backpack with me just to carry a portable gaming device. But I find it like so funny. Nitro Blades 11 from Acer. And I bet it's a good device, right? Like it's a good device, but Jesus Christ, like what's the limit now? Like what we're getting next year, like a 15-inch tablet gaming device? Like what are we gonna do now, right? And finally, like the like another bullshit gaming chair. Like I think the concept it's interesting to say the least, but like you need a cable, right? And the last thing I don't want is another cable on my floor, just like so I can trip over. Like please no. Other than that, like yeah, TVs are better. And I get yeah, like a bunch of Nintendo Switch leaks. I'm not gonna cover leaks overall because I think like unless it's some major thing. Yeah, exactly. Like you need a cable, right? You need a cable. Like how is the chair gonna be powered, right? Like you need power for the chair to heat up and to cool down and to do the extra chair things that they kind of announced. Which is like one of my problems with CES. Like you never know if this is gonna be a real product or if it's like just a concept thing that they're showing there, and then you'll never hear of this again. Like doesn't make any sense. So it's like I said, it's really hard for me to be, you know, excited about anything that they show here, unless obviously the graphics cards, because that's something that we know it's coming out. But other than that, it's like yeah, okay, like I guess we'll see if this actually comes out. But cool, I guess. But it does brings me to like another announcement, which is and another piece of news that I had ready about the PlayStation video game movies that they announced. And also like I had a thing about the secret level. There was an interview about like secret level wanting to do a crossover with Doom and Halo. And a lot of people like immediately took up Twitter and being angry, you know, like oh, like that was perfect. Like, and I'm gonna say like I was not excited. I don't think Doom and Halo even belong in the same space. Like they are similar in aesthetic, that's for sure, but I don't think like those. Like Halo is a lot more serious and a lot less gory, and Doom is definitely like an 80s 90s action flick with a really like testosterone fueled macho guy that destroys everything in its path. And I think like if you're gonna combine both of them, you're gonna need to like concede some of them, something like from either of them. So like you either got Halo doing like a bit more of gore, or you take out the gore entirely, so they kind of fit in each other's universe. And it's like, I don't know if I want to see this, you know. But I had a whole thing like talking about this. I had a whole thing planned like about this like supposed crossover that never happened. But then PlayStation decided like, hell no, we're gonna do a bunch of video game movies and series and whatever. And so they announced Helldivers and then announced Horizon Zero Dawn, as well as an anime series based on Ghost of Tsushima, says IGN.com. And I'm like, on one hand, like I'm like, sure, like Helldivers movie. One may even say like, hey, that's just Starship Troopers. Yes, I know. And it's missing the Until Dawn movie. That's true. But like Helldivers is just Starship Troopers at this point, right? And sure, they can go like, yeah. On one hand, I get it. Like they have this bunch of IPs that are like lying around and they need to cash on, right? You got Helldivers that, despite everything, like it's probably the IP that like stands out the most in the PlayStation lineup, because it's not going for that cinematic approach like Horizon or Ghost of Tsushima. But at the same time, like, yeah, Helldivers was not. Helldivers was developed outside of Sony's house, and eventually, like, they got pulled in. But Horizon and Ghost of Tsushima and Until Dawn, all of them strive for that cinematic approach to video games. Which leads me to, like, a small, I like, obviously it's money, right? Like they need to make money. They need to make bank on these IPs that are just like lying there. And Horizon story is cool for an adaptation, I guess. Ghost of Tsushima must be really cool as well, like in terms of story. But ultimately, it's money. But at the same time, I kind of don't like this approach to their IPs, and my reasoning is Sony has been like always approaching their games like every passing year they're striving to go for a more cinematic approach, like trying to make games into movies or closer to movies every now and then, and now they just like straight up turning the games into movies. Hey Nuno, welcome to the chat. And my reaction to this was like, do they have faith in the product that they're putting out, and be like, are they still considering games to be a second type of art form, like, and inferior to movies? It's like, I obviously, like, the answer, like I said, it's money, but that's the impression that I get from this approach to their IPs. It's like, oh yeah, like, turns out what we really wanted to do is it's more movies, but you know, video games are being profitable, so let's do more of those and eventually turn back into movies. And it's like, come on, man, like, part of what makes these games great is the interactivity. Like, Until Dawn is a great example. Like, Until Dawn is cool because it's an interactive movie. Taking that the interactivity of that thing is like, what are you guys doing? Why are you taking like the thing that makes this kind of unique in comparison to, you know, other horror movies, I guess? And it's so weird. Like, I don't know, man. I get, like, yeah, Nunu in chat saying it's great because it's cheesy as fuck and like I devoured it kind of thing. I'm not saying they're not gonna be good movies, like, because I think Sony can pull these off. Like, I heard the guys that are making Ghost of Tsushima are the guys doing Star Wars Visions, and that's like kind of cool. Like, Star Wars Visions was cool as fuck. And I kind of wished, like, in an ironic twist of fate, that they actually announced Paul Verhoeven as the Helldivers director, which would be so funny. Paul Verhoeven, obviously, like, the guy that made Starship Troopers in the first place, and like those movies are kind of cool. Like, I think he understands these types of kind of cheesy, but kind of like small commentary on life movies as well. I mean, you got RoboCop as well, and Basic Instinct, Showgirls. You know, like if you are into those types of movies, like Paul Verhoeven is a great filmmaker, and it would be so funny for them to just hire him again to make, hey, just to Starship Ship Troopers again, but you know, just change the name. Do not watch those sequels, by the way, like Starship Troopers 2, 3, and whatever they came up next. It's like, Jesus, no, just don't do that. Like it's not something you want to watch. Exactly. Starship Troopers is a singular movie. Yeah, the sequels are all made up. They don't exist. And yeah, like Rufox actually makes a great point. Until Dawn is like new cast, new characters, basically nothing to do with the original game. So at this point, why are we calling it Until Dawn then? Right? What's going on? Like, what? This is gonna be like a prequel? This is gonna be like a side story? Is it gonna be, you know, God knows what? Still, like, yeah, I wish Sony would focus a little bit more on bringing more experiences to the PS5 than like trying to make the existing ones into other types of media. You know, like I know it's a completely different thing. Like the time it takes to make a movie, it's probably way less right now than to make a game. But it's like the more this generation goes on, the more I don't see the need to buy a PS5 or an Xbox. Like, because you know, all the games are coming to PC anyways. I can wait and buy them when they get there, if they run, I guess. Because given the 5090s and all that, like I'm not sure I can run the latest games, but sure. But you know, then you have like those, you know, hyperbolic people saying PlayStation 5 has no games, and like, yeah, they kind of do, but they are really with their mind elsewhere. I think, like, it's just so weird. No in chat says I really want more major hits for PS5, so it doesn't feel like something in between. Yeah, that's it. Like, and like, if Sony's is like gearing up for more movies, like, come on, like, just give us more stuff, you know, like, give us more games. I don't think I'm asking for much. And that's like, you know, that's the wrap up on the movie things, because yeah, I mean, at least like if those movies are good, we are kind of eating, right? That's my takeaway from this. Like, that's here's to hoping that these games are good, these movies are good, and this series. And what I mean by that is that they wanting to be in all fronts and not delivering anything excellent. Their movies have been kind of shit for, you know, like those Marvel villain movies have not been great, I think. At least lately have been kind of crappy. Uncharted, Jesus, yeah, I could not watch Uncharted until the end. I could not like that thing at all. It doesn't help that it has Mark Wahlberg in it. And I don't like Mark Wahlberg as an actor that much. I bet he's a good dude, but I can't. Like, this doesn't. I don't know, something about his style of acting that just like doesn't do anything for me. In the meantime, one thing that I kind of wanted to show you guys, but I can't because it's a Bloomberg article, and it's locked behind a subscription. but Jason Schreier, you know, from the fall of Blizzard and Press Reset fame, Jason Schreier released his predictions for 2025 in gaming, and this is probably like the biggest piece of news that I have to cover here. But they do cover a lot of topics. Like Jason, like, I'm gonna give you the bullet points, and Jason is basically saying like it's gonna be the end of console exclusives. Let me see if I can find here at least some type of wrap up. Okay. Okay, this is just like resetter, I guess. I wish I had something, but that's okay. But yeah, Jason Schreier shares his gaming predictions for 2025, and his bullet points are basically the end of console exclusives, which, you know, like it kind of makes sense. Like, according to Jason, exclusive math doesn't just make sense anymore. Games cost too much to make. The console audience isn't growing fast enough, and skipping Steam just means missing out on a massive chunk of the market. And he says this year we'll see Xbox go completely multi-platform and PlayStation getting closer and closer. I don't think. Yeah, like he has a bunch of predictions. I don't think we'll see like the end of exclusives. Maybe timed exclusives will not be a thing anymore, but like PlayStation is still going on. But Xbox is definitely like getting closer and closer. And yeah, I don't think PlayStation is going to end exclusives like so soon. Like, we still have Astro Bot like on that platform. He actually mentions Nintendo. Like, Nintendo is obviously like the only exception. And he actually adds Nintendo like is the only exception, and we'll just have to see how much longer that lasts. So I don't like to contradict Jason, because Jason definitely like is doing this way longer than me and has like a lot more insight. But I decided to do some pocket math, and I don't think we'll see the end of exclusives for Nintendo like like this close. Like, years from now, we may be saying other things, but so hear me out, okay? So I saw the 2023 fiscal year report from Nintendo. At the time I was writing this, I came across the 2023 report, and Nintendo says they have 1.263 billion yen, or $9.5 billion US in cash and deposits. Which is like a lot, okay? It's already a lot. And so I did some math, and like, assuming they operated at a loss in their worst year, so their worst year was for 43.2 billion yens in 2012. I'm not gonna look like further. That's like the worst I could find in the last given years. But with my pocket math, Nintendo could support up to 10 Wii U level failures. That's my talking point here. So yeah, like Nintendo is not moving to exclusive anytime soon. Also, like, if I remember correctly, Mario movie also made $1 billion. $1 billion. That's it. And like, Mario movie making $1 billion, like, obviously, like, they're not pocketing those billion, that whole billion. But Mario movie making $1 billion, I'm gonna say, like, with all the companies involved, let's say Nintendo takes, you know, let's be like real, like let's go low here, but Nintendo taking 10%, that's still 100 million that they are pocketing from the Mario movie, which, you know, like 100 million companies would kill right now to have 100 million in their pockets. I'm gonna say this. So yeah, Schreier in this case, like, I don't think he's like, I think he's like, he says it correctly, like Nintendo will not go to exclusive like so soon, but the other two companies are definitely moving more and more towards that feature, especially Xbox, you know, like Xbox being like trying to merge the PC and the Xbox gaming space. I think that will be like it's their only option, you know. The thing is, have you thought that Xbox is actually exclusive if we think of the future? I don't think Xbox is actually exclusive though. Mostly because I think I don't think streaming will be. Yeah, it is working. It is working. Don't worry. I'm just like going on the stream of conscience here. So picture a future where everything is a streamed service. And I'm gonna say that streaming is not gonna be a thing. Streaming is not gonna be a thing, like, I think at least in the next 5 years. I'm gonna say more, to be honest. I think it's gonna be more. But streaming won't catch on so soon. Mostly because, you know, people are still trying to figure out how to make this actually work. You do have some stuff that already kind of works, you know, like the GeForce app or whatever that thing is called. You know, PlayStation Portal is actually kind of working, but there's a lot of nuances in there. Like, it kind of works. You still have the latency to fix. You still have, you know, like, streaming may be viable for the Western audience in the upper hemisphere and Japan, you know. But if you look at the rest of the world, you know, like countries in Africa, you got the South Americas, and even Middle Eastern, like you got India and all, like those countries up until China. Like, I don't think streaming will ever catch on until those countries have actually decent services. Once those countries, especially China and India, once those two countries have decent internet services for streaming, not that they don't have like good internet right now, but, and Brazil, yeah, Brazil is also like a massive market. Like, up until those three markets have actually, you know, good access to streaming services, I don't think we're gonna count on this. Because, you know, like the West upper hemisphere right now, it's doing fine. It's doing fine, like, mostly, I guess. But we do get good internet here. We get good internet in the United States, kind of, sometimes. And most of Europe, like, has no struggles with it. And you can definitely have a good experience with streaming stuff. The rest of the world, not really, you know. And Japan is Japan, you know. Yeah, like, he's going into the exclusive stuff. Like, he says, he also says that GTA 6 will be delayed to 2026. Honestly, not like surprising, to be honest. I think GTA 6 will be delayed. It won't be released until January next year, I think. And he says something that I really find it funny. He says Silk Song will finally be releasing. And, like, I don't believe it. Has Rockstar ever delayed a launch? Yes. Every time. That's the thing. They delayed GTA 5, they delayed GTA 4, they delayed GTA I don't know if they delayed San Andreas, to be honest. I was not paying attention back there. But 4 and 5 they definitely delayed. And also, like, let's be honest, like, you know, like, GTA 6 is the most anticipated game of the year, that's for sure. Like, we can't obviously discount that. But company says a lot of things. Actually, Schreier actually says the same thing. Company says a lot of things. Next Grand Theft Auto is a huge and ambitious game. The pressure to make it is great, is inordinate, and developer Rockstar Games has vowed to avoid forcing excessive overtime during the final months of development. I expect that it will slip to 2026. It's probably like beginning of 2026, or like if you want to go by fiscal year, I'm gonna say April tops. But Rockstar, like, definitely has delayed games in the past. And yeah, like, it's such a massive game. Like, everyone is counting on this. Like, I think it's better they do not fumble this release, and I bet they won't. You know, like, especially being like PS5 only at the beginning. I don't know if it's coming out for Xbox at the beginning, but definitely will, like, it needs to run good on the PS5 first, and then like they figure out PC stuff later. And yeah, we don't want another Cyberpunk drama. I played that game like when it came out, and it was not great. I managed to follow the story all the way through. I got quite a few number of bugs. I don't think the bugs actually ruined that game for me. It was actually the systems of the game itself that ruined the game for me. But I'm a Cyberpunk 2020, like, I kind of know I kind of know the lore of the tabletop game, and it adds some stuff in there that didn't make much sense to me. But that's me being picky, you know. But yeah, Silksong, you know, like, people have turned Silksong into a meme. I don't think Silksong even exists at this point. I don't know, man. Like, what is Silksong? I hope it does release. Like, we've been wanting this game for so long, right? Like, I bet most of you are Hollow Knight fans as well. And like, what happened? Like, what was the game? The game got announced in 2018, I believe. Silksong announcement, just to announcement year. 2019, okay. 2019, we are in 2025 now. So it's been 6 years. It's been 6 years since the game was announced. We got a small teaser, and that's it. Like, they went completely radio silent. Which poses a question, like, on my end, which is, how do you take 6 years to develop a sequel to Hollow Knight? And I don't think... Yeah, it was announced at the E3 2019. Exactly, Nintendo Direct. I fear so much for this game because it's been announced for so long. And whatever game they're making, I don't think a 2D Metroidvania takes 6 years to make right now. It's not, like, it doesn't bode well, and I hope, like, I'm completely wrong, but, you know, like, something's fishy. Either they have, like, a really small team and just, like, working on it in, like, whenever they can, or, like, something is gonna, like, this game is not... I don't think this game will ever live up to the expectations. Hopefully not. Hopefully it's a good game, you know, but I don't think we'll make an impact as Hollow Knight did. Yeah, and Team Cherry hasn't posted anything, like, since 2022. It's vaporware right now. Hopefully not. Other thing that Jason mentions, he talks about Ubisoft a little bit, and the other thing that he talks about is, like, the industry will bounce back from all of from all the layoffs and all that, I don't think it's happening so soon. Unfortunately, we already had layoffs on the 3rd day of the year and on the 8th day of the year. One was Netmarble, and the other was another company. I forgot the name now. But yeah, we're already doing layoffs, like, and we're not even in the 10th day of the year. In the best case scenario, Hollow Knight gave them the money to pay everything in place fairly without needing to crunch, and they're able to afford to take this long making the game. I hope. Oh no, Netmarble, not NetEase. Netmarble. But yeah, like, layoffs are already happening, and Jason says is they're gonna bounce back from the from like these past years, and I don't know, man. We'll see that. We'll see. Actually, I'm gonna need to take a 5-second break. I'm gonna need to open the door to my cat. Yeah, I think something happened during development. Something happened during development that, like, it's weird, you know. It's at least weird that they're taking 6 years to develop like this sequel. And the last thing is, and I think this is like something that I really want to show, because he says Half-Life will make a return, and we got this teaser.
Another year already. Good to see and
from G-Man, the voice actor of G-Man himself.
May the next quarter century deliver as many unexpected surprises as did the millenniums first. And again, time is fluid, like music. See you in the new year. Another year already.
So, at best, this is not Half-Life 3. Like, I don't think Half-Life 3 will be a thing. I think we'll see like some type of we'll see some type of Half-Life related stuff. I don't think 3 is gonna happen. At least so soon, you know. Like, Valve already came on record saying they didn't release Half-Life 3 because they didn't have anything cool to show. Like, they didn't have cool tech to show. They didn't have a cool story to show to go along with it. And honestly, like, I kind of respect it, to be honest. Like, they coming in public and saying, I got nothing, man. Like, we were doing Half-Life 3, but we got nothing. Okay, like, we had nothing in us. So this is it. We'll probably never see it. But yeah, I find it funny that, like, Mike Shapiro, which is like the voice actor for the G-Man himself, actually posted a teaser on his Twitter account, and it's, I don't know what this means. Like, everyone's already like crying for Half-Life 3 for so long. It's another game that won't survive expectations anymore. I am of the opinion that Half-Life 1 is better than Half-Life 2. You know, because I think Half-Life 1 was more of interesting take on the shooters themselves, and Half-Life 2 just was a bit too much weird for me. Like, I think I kind of liked it when I played it at the time of the release. I played it a couple of years ago, and I remember kind of like being weirded out of everyone just treats Gordon Freeman as the second coming of Christ. It's weird, you know. It's very weird because like, in the first game you are this guy that fucks up his day at work. You're just going to work and you fuck up like your job, And then it's like, hey, I need to survive this, so I'm just like blasting a bunch of weird aliens with this crowbar and dodging the equivalent of a SWAT team, I guess. In Half-Life 2, everyone just treats you like you're the savior of the whole goddamn universe, which makes everything kind of awkward. And also you fall in love with the scientist's daughter, with the daughter of a scientist that was with you in Half-Life 1, which is like just a secondary character, I guess, in Half-Life 1. But then in Half-Life 2, they made you fall in love with his daughter, and like you were definitely way older than her in Half-Life 2, and somehow she falls in love with you in the first 10 minutes. I don't know, it's weird. Like, I don't know, look, some games like are definitely better left in the past. Some games are definitely better left in the past, and as I played through Half-Life 2 again, like in my adulthood, I was like, maybe I should have left this alone, I think. Retro Mary asks, when does Shelley from Portal meet Gordon Freeman from Half-Life? Yeah, that would be like a cool crossover, and I think like we're gonna get that way sooner than we're gonna get Half-Life 3, to be honest. Actually, I know it's implied Gordon didn't age between 1 and 2 because G-Man's putting him away. It's still kind of weird though. Right? Like, sure, he didn't age, but time definitely went on, you know. Actually, he's and her father is like, is so eager to see you two together that it's just like, dude, come on, that's your daughter. You want me to bone your daughter? Come on. I don't know. Like, it was kind of weird. It's also there's also another thing that like lore happens before the game occurs, but once you are in the game, things only happen when you get there. Like, nothing is happening outside of your peripheral like vision, and it's like it gets super weird, you know. I feel like there's a bunch of stuff that they're like, oh, we're waiting on Gordon to come up to just start this, and it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I don't know. I know, but yeah, like that's the wrap up for Jason Schreier, like predictions. He also goes on to talk about Ubisoft and Square Enix a little bit, and also saying that generative AI will reach its peak. I don't know. I hope so. I'm so tired of fucking seeing generative AI everywhere, and hopefully it comes like crashing down. That's my take on this. Like, I'm so tired of like watching weird memes of cats eating ramen shared by my mother on Facebook. I'm like, please just kill this once and for all. Especially with a piece of news that came out later, earlier this week, that Meta is actually toning down on their fact checkers on Facebook, and like, sure, most of us can actually tell the difference between generative AI now. It will be harder in the future, but what I fear the most is like folks like my parents that are not that tech savvy when it comes to this thing. My dad kind of is, but my mom not really, you know. And I fear like for all the scams that are coming with this tech, which is something that I know I don't want to think about it. Like, I'm already an anxious person, and I don't want to look at this and be like, oh shit, life it's about to become hell in social media. The thing is, like, I don't think there's a way to prepare them, because like this tech is gonna advance way more faster than we can actually keep up with them. Which means like today we can actually look at like most images and really realize that they're made by an AI, and like in 2 weeks from now we can actually look at something like, oh, I actually got fooled for a while, and we are like kind of inside the exactly, like of course Biden asked me for my social security number, like obviously, like why wouldn't he? Like he's the former president, I can trust him, right? I don't know. I don't like Gen AI, or rather, I'm curious about the tech. I don't think we have enough legislation for this to be not used in very evil ways right now, and usually legislation takes a long while to keep up with new technology. So yeah, like I don't think I hope it reaches its peak and comes crashing down afterwards. Like no, I'm not even like going downhill. I hope it's like it's a fucking cliff, it just comes crashing down. Sea Lion is saying my government has our prime minister saying it's a great technology, we need to use more, and I want to fucking throttle them. Yeah, because it's the thing is like there's a lot of money involved, right? Like it happened the same with I guess with NFTs, and it happened the same with the blockchain. Like there's this there's the rumors, right? Oh, like this is where the money is, right? So every fucking investor is gonna be talking about this to until his lungs collapse. But with Gen AI, like it's I think it's more palpable that you can do actually shit with that. Because like it's immediately like with blockchain you need to put people like actually explain what the blockchain is, or at least how it works, and NFTs the same way. With Gen AI, it's just like, hey, we just you know, put the text prompt in there and people can actually see the results immediately. But yeah, like Duplo was actually saying, like, right, old folks think of technology as children's toys, right? And that's a problem, because like it won't affect them that much, but it will affect us and the upcoming generations a lot more. And we need to actually prepare for this. In the meantime, like I got 2 more pieces of news here, and a bonus one that I kind of want to talk about, which is like a funny article, I guess. But in this one, ex-Bioshock actually, Ken Levine says the problem with AAA games is how risk-averse they become. If they don't innovate, especially in games, you start losing people. Okay. So I found this piece of news, like, obviously it's a sentiment I've been getting for quite a while. Like, the more games become expensive, like, the harder it is to take risks. I was watching an interview with a GTA 3 developer earlier today, I think. Or was it last night? I don't remember. But with GTA 3, they were talking about how they implemented the camera, like the cinematic camera, and how they came about. And the thing is, like, the GTA 3 will had this cinematic camera that chased the train when you hopped onto one, and was like this cool looking effect of several cameras chasing the player and doing different POVs, right? And apparently that was like something he decided to try to implement in like an afternoon, because he was not happy of how the character looked when he entered the train, because it would just like stand there and the camera would follow the player as he would move from station to station. There was a problem of like putting the like you could make it warp, but apparently the PlayStation could not handle that thing so well due to, you know, load times and all that. So they decided to do a cinematic camera for the train in specific, and they showed to the project leader, and they're like, oh, this actually looks pretty cool. And why don't you implement that on, you know, cars and other, you know, like if you want to drive a car with a cinematic perspective, you can push that button as well. So they did, like so cinematic camera is a feature like since GTA 3 because of one single developer that decided to, hey, let's just, you know, let's try shit out. And nowadays I think, like, if you think like GTA 3 had, I think it was around 150 people working on them, and now GTA 6 is probably over 1,000, probably 2,000, closer to 2,000 people working on them. Like, it's a lot harder to implement stuff because there's like a bunch of people in the chain of command that you need to go through to actually implement something. So projects are like sticking to closest as possible to what they're asked for, right? And I find it really funny, like Ken Levine saying this. Like, so let's put in our minds that Ken Levine it's the guy that made BioShock, or the producer of BioShock, right? And says, yeah, like this is like terrible. Like the industry became risk averse, which makes sense, you know. Like the more money there is, the harder it is to go outside the box. But at the same time, he's developing a game called Judas. And I'm gonna put you guys a trailer here for Judas. Trailer, game. And if you look at Judas trailer, it's... The thing is, like, I don't know if you played BioShock, but if you look at BioShock and Judas, well, they are a lot similar, you know? Like, obviously, like, the story will be different, the setting is different, but you can look at this gameplay and go, like, that's BioShock, you know? Yeah, it's basically BioShock, okay? Like, you can see there's different systems, there's different mechanics that they are trying stuff out. And like, no shade, the game looks really, really cool, okay? And honestly, like, from Ken Levine, I want to play this. I really want to play this. But this is a stark contrast from this, you know? Which is something that I find it really funny. And like, it's becoming risk averse and you're doing BioShock again. So what gives, right? But yeah, this comes like, obviously, like, games like we said, like it's they're costing a lot. Like Suicide Squad, like, and like when they cost a lot and they fail, like it's heavy losses. So like I have the notes here, like Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, lost Warner Brothers over 200 million. Concord costs 400 million. Payday was 8 years in development and $50 million budgets. Isn't it BioShock in space? So it's also another System Shock. Exactly. And guess who made System Shock? Yeah. So yeah, I kind of I find it funny that it's Ken Levine of all people saying this. I don't know. Like, it's just kind of weird, you know. He also, like, I think the interview goes on him saying, like, cutting edge graphics cost too much to make for AAA games, and it's true. Like, the ongoing industry crisis, like, might finally teach more graphics that, like, more graphics do not equal sales, you know. Like, that's one thing for sure. So like, I wonder will this will stop as well. Like the thing is like, okay, we're spending like this much money on a game, and like obviously we can take a lot more risks, like because we want to turn on a profit. But if we are doing like less and less interesting things, like if we are going to go for the video games art, like on the AAA market, it's like, how do you solve this? Like it's like you don't, I think. But I also think that like the chase for AAA graphics right now, so like all the RTX stuff, all the cool things that you see like in trailers, all the flashy lights, are basically more like to attract older gamers than probably like the newer ones. Because the truth is, like, if you look at the most played games of all time, like currently, you got what? You got Minecraft, you got Roblox, you got Fortnite, and you can't say those are actually, you know, AAA graphics. I got a note here that's saying like former Square Enix executive Jacob Navok, from like talking to the New York Times. You know, like he says like, yeah, like the most gamers are like in their 40s and 50s. They do want the AAA experience, the better graphics, the whole thing. But his 7-year-old son is playing Minecraft and Roblox. Retro Mary says, without the incentive to try something new, AAA companies won't make them. Yeah, that's true. Like the thing is, I think AAA, like the AAA space is becoming like quite stagnant as well. Like, not obviously, like I'm not a developer, I'm not Levine saying this, making another Bioshock, but I do feel the indie space is where it kind of is. Like, it depends on what we're calling the indie space as well. Because like if you go for the indie space, you look at games from big indie, okay, like you got the Devolver games, the Annapurna games, and you see a lot of cozy games, you see a lot of roguelikes coming out right now. Like there's like a clear trend of like bigger budget indie games coming out. If you really want to go like the indie space, like if you go on HIO and, you know, Game Jolt and all that, yeah, sure, like you got a bunch of like innovative experiences, and there's a bunch of experienced devs like going indie just because of that thing. However, like AAA cannot go away, right? That's the thing. Like you cannot suddenly just like collapse the entire AAA gaming industry just because, you know, it's getting too stagnant. Because it all collapses from, like, I see a lot of people saying, oh yeah, indie games will be the salvation for this. Indie games will be the salvation for like the AAA like stagnancy. And I'm like, no, really, because like if you got AAA collapsing, then you got a bunch of devs that are going to be out of their jobs and trying to move into the indie space, and indie space will also be, you know, already like looted, I guess. And like what happens, like a bunch of people are just going to leave the industry. You can't just collapse the AAA and hope that the indie will save the space. Like it's a symbiotic system that needs to coexist, and it's getting harder and harder, like to like make this coexistence a reality, especially with all the layoffs that we've been getting. Yeah, you actually have the thing happening with already with Supervive. You have a bunch of like ever since the indie games starting coming out, like in the 360 era, like you got a lot of devs moving out of AAA space because there's like just another cog in the machine of trying to make, you know, another AAA title and be like, yeah, I want to do my own thing and go to the indie space. but you know, like they can't all leave the AAA space. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, like I just find it funny, like Ken Levine just like going like on the tirade like this, like just saying, yeah, it's becoming risk averse when out of all people he's doing Judas. Not to criticize Ken Levine, like I think his games are great, but it just like it came out a little bit weird. And the other piece of news that I have here, it's about Black Myth Wukong. Hey, most people loved Black Myth Wukong, but according to VGC and this Vorten ad that I just got, you know, Black Myth Wukong director blames Series S for Xbox delays. This has been like a very confusing ongoing story about Black Myth Wukong. We talked about this, that's for sure. We talked about this in the M's. But so here's the thing, okay? So like Wukong got announced, and they announced it for Xbox and for PlayStation and PC, obviously. PC and PlayStation came out, but Xbox got delayed immediately. And so on my notes here I have the Chinese developer announced last summer that the Xbox version and of the popular PC and PS5 action RPG had been pushed back due to internal quality concerns. At the time they didn't comment if it was like related to the Series S or not, but like they were not like hitting the quality that they were expecting according to them. And several months later, a Microsoft statement heavily suggested they're not okay, heavily suggesting is not the same as affirming, but they heavily suggested that a platform agreement with PlayStation was the cause for continued delays. And now to add further to the confusion, the game directors for Black Myth Wukong stated that in their social in Chinese social network Weibo, I hope that's how it's pronounced, Weibo. Everyone's fighting power is so terrifying, but the only thing missing is the Xbox Row. It seems a bit wrong, but that 10G of shared memory without a few years of optimization experience, it really can't be taken down. So like this is all like kind of translated via Google thing, so it's not like very clear on what he means, but I obviously like he's referring to the 10 gigabytes of RAM that the Series S has, as opposed to the Series X 16 gigabytes. And obviously, like Xbox has the thing of if a game runs on Series X, it needs to run on Series S, which I believe it's a problem for some games. Like a lot of developers like already talked about this, like Remedy Entertainment with Alan Wake. I remember Larian Studios also talking about this, due to them having troubles putting the co-op working with Baldur's Gate on the Series S, which makes sense, you know, like obviously. And Rocksteady with their Suicide Squad stuff, and Funcom that are developing the Dune MMO. The announced Dune MMO that I don't know when it's coming out. I just remember they announced it. However, like if you look at like the companies that are complaining about the Series S, like we look at Alan Wake, and my god, that game is absolutely stunning in terms of graphical prowess. Baldur's Gate, with all their calculations and like rendering 2 games at once, must be a freaking nightmare to make that thing run on anywhere. I don't think the Steam Deck can do it, to be honest, but like I can test that later, maybe. But yeah, like Baldur's Gate, it's a heck. Yeah, like cause if you're doing like co-op on Baldur's Gate, you can basically like have a split screen of that game in the same machine, but you need to calculate both of the outcomes on the screens, right? So it's twice the rendering. And you know, Dune Awakening, it's not out yet, but from what we've seen from that game, it's definitely like another graphic powerhouse coming around, especially for an MMO. If you think about it, and you know, Suicide Squad was. I'm not gonna say the graphics were good in Suicide Squad, but that game definitely had development issues going around, and yeah, I'm not gonna say the Series S made that game fail. It's just like the game was bound to fail overall. And obviously, like this leads to two things. Obviously, like some people like Duplo in chat are saying, yeah, the Switch has miracle ports. I think it's quite different when you look at the sales of the Switch, which is the best selling console of this generation, and you look at the sales for Series S and X, okay? Like, Microsoft is trailing on the third place. Hard. And if you're gonna develop a port that needs to be heavily underpowered compared to the main game, you kind of need to set your priorities straight and see where it's probable that the game will sell more. It will be on the Switch, or it will be, you know, on a console that most people are not buying. Which, you know, like makes sense. Like it's just basic data, right? You look at the sales of the Switch and look at sales of Xbox, and like, yeah, I'm gonna port for Switch because the customers are already there, okay, and Xbox not really. Doesn't also help that Xbox has the Game Pass thing, and if you launch the game on Game Pass, you will lose like around 80% of the premium sales. There was a new report coming in. I forgot to actually put it in my sheet. But yeah, like if a game comes out on Game Pass, you are losing around 80% of the premium sales on that platform. And that 80% of premium sales is a lot, right? Like, because people are already paying for Game Pass, and if they're not buying a game for $60, $70, or $80 or whatever it is, like it's honestly quite a lot. But there's the other side. Like, a lot of people are asking for Microsoft to drop the mandatory requirement of games need to be playable on both, and I think that's like not the way to go. Especially now, like that was the whole selling point of the Series S. And also, like it's the whole selling point of the Series S, and the Series S actually sells more than the Series X. So you already got most of the customer base on the Series S, and you're gonna give them a kick in the nuts, which like it doesn't make sense, right? Like if you're not gonna drop the mandatory requirement of games running on both systems, if the most underpowered system that you have right now is the one that's selling the most, right? Because it's cheap, right? It's cheaper, of course. There was a leaked document a long time ago on the Xbox versus FTC case that showed that 75% of the sales of the Xbox were Series S, so 25% was Series X. That thing was kind of like on that document, but in the meantime, Daniel Ahmad from Nyko Partners, you might know him as Zook X from Twitter, already told like IGN that the estimates are actually around 50-50 now. So like Series X is actually gaining more terrain. Not sure why would that be though. Like why the Series X is gaining more terrain. I don't think, like, again, for the average consumer, I don't think there's a lot of difference in buying either way, except for the price. But yeah, like RuFox is saying, being able to play video games for $250 is great. Like you got the Game Pass, you got the console, and it's actually like super small, so it's kind of portable. You can get the, like, when when like if you look at also like the average TV a person has on his living room, sure, mostly will be 4K, but most people will not care to play the games at 40p if they can pay half the price for the console, right? Like it just makes sense. I'm getting a spam call right now. I already denied the spam call 5 times right now. This is gonna be awesome. But yeah, like the thing is, like, this turns into an argument about Series S, like pushing the consoles down and pushing the generation like backwards, I guess. But people are saying that this is like the whole reason why Xbox is failing. I don't think it is, but you know, and in specific case of Wukong, like, so what happens for me is like, here's how I think things go. Like, you're developing a game, you get like your PS5 optimization, of course, because that's like a big market. In case of China, you also get the PC optimization running. You also get like the PC optimization running, because those are your two bigger expected customers, right? So you got Steam, you got PS5, and then you start looking at the other options that you got on the market, and you got Switch will not run Black Myth. That's for sure. Like, that game has like quite high like graphic settings to be running on a Switch, unless they pull, you know, another miracle. And they're like, okay, now we're gonna develop this for Xbox, but you got 2 Xboxes running in the market right now, and you have one that's similar to the PS5, which you can make it run pretty well, probably with a few tweaks, but then you need to do optimization for the Series S. And this is not like exclusive to Black Myth Wukong. Like, the other games also do like this, apparently. Like, I think that's how it goes. Like, it's just me thinking, but I think that's how it goes. Obviously, you get this, and it's like, okay, we need to develop this port for the Series S, but for that you need devs, and devs need time, and time means money. And with games ballooning their budget for, you know, 200 million, 400 million, like you got Concord, I don't think like developing for Series S right now, given like how low the customer base is comparing to the other 2 systems, it's like I don't think it's very viable for most of companies, you know. But yeah, like Retire Renee in chat is saying like it's mainly the experience. But yeah, but like with Black Myth, I think it's the experience as well, obviously. But with the other games like Remedy's Alan Wake, like Baldur's Gate, you know, like that thing costs money, right? And especially with like how high the cost of everything is, like the games are going to be costing more and more, which means like it's not actually the Series S like taking the generation now, like it's down. It's just like, you know, it's a sign of times of how expensive everything is and how quickly they want to make a buck, you know, like, and at the end of the day, it's just money, I think, you know. Obviously that's just me talking. I don't think it's like it's I don't know if this is like the truth 100%, but that's how I see it. Like everything costs money, everything is costing more money all the time. So developing for the console or the platform that's trailing behind in all the 3 platforms that we have right now, it's like, hey, like we rather allocate funds anywhere else than do this for like just a portion of the sales. You know, and we are 1 hour and 43. Let's go to the last story of the day. I want to talk about this because I saw this article and I thought it was really neat. The gentrification of video game history, which is, you know, something that sometimes I think about, mostly because being an European, sometimes we talk about most of the video game history happening and how stuff like went down, but most of the stuff we actually talk about is video game history in US. You know, you probably heard a lot of times that Nintendo actually saved the console market, right? Nintendo saved the console market, and important games or stuff like Doom or stuff like, you know, Fortnite nowadays, like those are the important games. But this article about the gentrification of video game history, last year the new Taipei City Youth Library organized an exposition about the golden age of RPGs, celebrating games from 1980 to 1999. And obviously, like, you got the usual Wizardry, Ultima, Dragon's Quest, you know, Final Fantasy, Diablo, Fallout, Chrono Trigger, Baldur's Gate, you know, all the games that we grew up and knew about. But you got stuff like Legend of the Sword and Fairy, Huanyan Sword, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, and Heroes of Jinyong, and the Twin Heroes. You know, you probably know, you guys never heard of this, obviously. And most of us actually haven't heard of these RPGs, and these are mostly because they were developed, you know, in Asian territories with no actual translation. So like the games never came to the West, and we never heard about them. Someone, I think was Mary in chat, that was talking about Naraka Blade Point a few minutes ago. And yeah, like Naraka Blade Point is indeed a spiritual successor of some of those games. But this article overall, like the TLDR of this article is that we usually look at games on like a perspective of US and Japan history, and they're talking about the gentrification of video games. I don't think video games have been gentrified, to be honest. Mostly because like the word gentrification means they were not gentrified at first. And I don't think that's what happened, right? And I think like if you look back at the history of video game publications, you can see this, because what happens is you got a bunch there was a Portuguese guy on Twitter a few months ago, a guy called Sticka, that was talking about like how we see the NES being the savior of consoles, and like it's not that true for Europe, and it's actually true. Like Europe was never in gentrification. You had to go what gentrification was. Okay, yeah, fair. The thing is, like, we look at video game history mostly through the games of US, and you know, YouTube also helped with that popularization. And obviously video games media. But the thing is, like, you look at the history of video game coverage, and I don't think like it was ever non-gentrified, because what happened is you got IGN US, obviously, you got, and GameSpot US, whatever, like things happen in back in the day. On Japan you got Famitsu, which obviously covers more of the Japan market. And the thing is, games were being developed everywhere, right? Like if you look at Europe, I mean, if you think about it, the company that gave origin to Rockstar, it was born on the UK. Okay. Now they're an American company, obviously, but the MCA design or DMA design was born in the UK. You got a bunch of French developers. Ubisoft is a French-born developer. You also had like Italian games being developed. You look at Asia, and you got Indian games being developed as well. You know, Chinese games being born. But the problem with those is that while in Europe, like you got Europe in the US, like you got English as like kind of breaking down the language barrier of everything, because like everyone knows English in Europe, right? Like most of people know English, and English is not a language barrier. But if you import a game from China, well, that's going to be a problem, right? You can't just play a game from China without knowing Chinese, because they don't translate their games. Like, and if they did, like the game would come out like 1 year later. And you can look and you can see that like in video game coverage a lot, because like IGN has their like national branches. Like you started having IGN or was it GameSpot UK, I believe, because obviously GameSpot UK would cover FIFA way better than GameSpot US, because who cares about fucking soccer in US, right? Or you had like IGN Brazil, right? Because they're covering stuff that comes out in Brazil. And then you had like the things coming out in Japan as well. Like Japan eventually like gave rise to a very big video game market because they were actually translating their games, although with quite a big delay. But the truth is, like, gentrification of video game history is not real, in my opinion, because like this just kind of was never gentrified. Okay, like this there's not a monopoly, or there's not a like a natural monopoly of like US and Japan games overall, because most of those countries like didn't translate their games for a more external audience, right? You're not gonna play this game in India because, you know, like India has a bunch of cricket games, you know, that are like best-selling games every year, every time they come out, but you never hear about those games here because who cares about cricket here, right? But I still find the article kind of cool because it just talks about of like really cool games from outside the gaming space that we know. Obviously, it talk about stuff like Free Fire. Like Free Fire is like I guess a Call of Duty clone, or like more like a Counter-Strike clone that was made, I think, in Vietnam, I believe. Or like it's a battle royale, right? Okay, it's a battle royale, like if made in Vietnam. Here it says. Yeah, it's a PUBG clone, right? It's a free-to-play PUBG clone that works on mobile. And most people like that you see playing this game are people that are on the southern hemisphere, you know. Because it's a free game. Like it's a free game. Like it runs on low specs, or they run on like an emulated Android device through the computer, and they can play the video game. And they can't afford, or they're not gonna spend $20 on PUBG that used to be paid on. That used to be a paid game. When they can have like a similar experience, right? And this happened, like I think you can see this happening, like why we don't talk about these games, like with a specific one called Call of Duty Mobile that came out in China, I believe. Because Call of Duty Mobile was like a Call of Duty made specifically for China, right? And like you turn on the game and obviously need to go through a bunch of hoops like VPNs and all that sort of stuff, signing like into a bunch of Chinese accounts to play that game. And like you play that game, it's like, yeah, it's Call of Duty. Like it's exactly what you think of. But they're not gonna port that game here because, you know, Call of Duty sells like a fuck ton, and they're not like gonna impact their sales with a free-to-play, more basic rundown version of the same game if they can sell the same game for $60 every year or every 2 years, you know. There's a bunch of those, you know, like here's the cricket things I was mentioning. The computer home scene of the 80s in Europe, like you got a bunch of stuff like that was developed here. Like we got our own. If you think of all Portuguese developed games, and if you talk to older persons, you probably would would talk like someone would tell you about Paradise Cafe, which is not a game I advise you guys to search for, but Paradise Cafe was a game developed in Portugal back in the Spectrum era, and like no one talks about it anywhere else except in Portugal. Yeah, it's a cool article. I'll link it in Discord when we finish the stream, and we'll see. Like, I hope you guys give it a read. I think it's, and if anything, like gentrification or not, I think it's an interesting read. In the meantime, Sea Lion says, I think we can have a discussion of gentrification of game history after we force companies to actually let us preserve video games and not be allowed to put out games that are rendered unplayable when they decide to flip off the switch, when it stops being profitable for them. Yep. But yeah, like it's a lot of stuff. Call of Duty has Warzone though, says Duplo, and many people in the West only play that game and don't buy the $6 games. The sales of Call of Duty were the biggest there was like last year. Like they released Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and it was like still the best selling Call of Duty Black Ops game of all time. So like even if like a lot of people just play Warzone, they also are spending money on Warzone and they're spending money on Call of Duty overall. Even with Game Pass. So yeah, Call of Duty will be Call of Duty, right? In the meantime, yeah, like I think like we're done. We're wrapping up the news. I'll post this link on Discord. I think I have Discord here somewhere. There you go. Hi. In the meantime, we're gonna go to our last section of today's show. We are doing this for how long now? Around 2 hours, right? Oh my. I spoke for 2 hours. My throat is getting dry. And one of the things I want to do, like in this show, that I'm gonna try to do every Thursday, hopefully, like, and not chicken out, is we're gonna talk about news. We're gonna talk about games that I've been currently playing. But I also want to hear from you guys. And I set up the Discord. I set up the Discord in on a new Discord actually, for you guys to send me stuff. I'm gonna link it in chat, and I have 2 channels there for you guys to post news and questions that you want me to answer. And I see like some people already put there. Sorry. So we're gonna go into what I call emails and messages. I know it's not a great name. You know, it is what it is. Hope you like that jingle, by the way. It's a good jingle. I honestly, like, I set this up, like, you know, kinda to I set up everything this morning, including the podcast intro that I reused from an old podcast that I had in Portugal, but it's not being used anymore. Anyway, you guys sent me some questions. Skeledon says, got a personal top 10 games of all time. Of all time? Oh god damn it! I hate the whole time question. I'm gonna say, like, this answer depends a lot of my mood and what I can remember overall. I'm gonna say, like, there's games that I hate the whole time. I hate the whole time list because it's like, if you ask me next week the same shit, I'm not gonna remember this answer, and I'm gonna give you a different answer. There are some games that are always there. Like, I'm gonna say the Tony Hawk series, with no specific, because I think I played most of them. You wrote yours down. Okay, now I want to know yours as well. Yeah, what did I get? I'm gonna say the Tony Hawk series is probably like one that I remember playing a lot, especially Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and Tony Hawk's Underground 1. So those 2 will definitely be there. Metal Gear will also probably be there. I think Metal Gear 3 I think. And I don't think like my list is particularly great or interesting. It's just like it's definitely Western European white guy, regular gamer type of list. Because I think like Metal Gear. We'll open like a Google Doc, I think. Yeah, but I Google Docs. Let's open a Google Doc and see like a blank document. So I'm gonna say like Metal Gear 3, Metal Gear Solid 3. I'm gonna say Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 or Underground. I'm gonna count like the series overall. I'm gonna say what games? And let's make this bigger. Not as big. Okay. Top 10 games of all time. You're putting me on the spot right now. I'm gonna say Tetris. Tetris is a game I spent too much time with several versions on this. So Tetris is definitely gonna be here. Fallout 2. Because definitely like Fallout 2 will need to be there. I don't mind what they did with the Bethesda thing, but 2 is still very special to me. Dark Souls obviously, like Dark Souls 1. I'm gonna say remastered though, mostly because the PC port of the first one was absolute dog shit, and Dark Souls 1 remastered kind of fixed everything for me. What else? Super Mario Brothers World. I was actually thinking of 3, but I think World is cool because of Yoshi. Yoshi will definitely have a special place in my heart. And shit, because like I don't think like I can narrow down to a single Zelda, for instance. Like, because I like Zeldas for different things. But I'm gonna say like Breath of the Wild. I'm gonna say Zelda series. I don't care. Because I liked most of them, to be honest. And I don't know, like Guitar Hero 3, I think. I don't know how much do I have right now. Let me see. So we got 8. Guitar Hero 3 was definitely a game that like I spent a lot of time in my 360 days playing. I'm approaching this with if I had to take games to play on an island for the rest of my life, this would be it. And actually, I don't know. Yakuza is kind of cool. Like Yakuza is kind of cool, but narrowing down to 0, it's like it probably is 0. Yeah, 0 was like my entry in the franchise, and it's probably the one that I like the most, mostly because it's probably the first. And I don't know, man. Number 10. I have no idea. If it wasn't for 0 being so damn good, it would be Yakuza 4 because it was my first one. Yeah, I think it also like the first game of the franchise is like specially like impactful on how you decide to to on how you feel about the series. Like, so like even if you play a worse game in the series, you're still gonna end up liking it because it was your first contact. So like for me, it was Dark Souls 2. Like Dark Souls 1 ran like dog shit on my laptop at the time, but Dark Souls 2 would run at 30 frames per second, like clean. And I still like Dark Souls 2, mostly because it was my first contact with Dark Souls series. But it also helps a lot. And I'm gonna say, like, it might be biased because it's kind of a recent one, but Baldur's Gate 3 made me like reconsider like my love of rekindle my love of CRPGs for like the, you know, the like on these last few years. Like I haven't played a CRPG in so long, and the ones I played I played like Pillars of Eternity and was like, okay, I like them, but it's like, yeah, okay, this is still like the same type of games I was playing back in the 2000s, 2010. And then Baldur's Gate 3 came, I was like, yeah, okay, like this is the next step in computer RPGs. Like this is how I wanted CRPGs to be when I picked up like more recent ones. So yeah, I think that's it. I think this is my, why is number 1 here? I don't get it. It's Metal Gear. It's not here. Okay, thanks, Google Docs. Funny enough, like one thing that I was talking to Rufox yesterday, not of all time, but I was thinking about my game of the year of 2024. And I was thinking like we always talk about Balatro, and now like Balatro is a very, very, very good like game overall, and I really spent a lot of time with Balatro last year, and so I did with Tekken. But I was like recollecting my thoughts on it, and I think UFO 50 might be my game of the year. UFO 50 might be the game that, because we're talking about Astrobot and how Astrobot is like so cool and all that. But I'm gonna see if I can find the game UFO 50 like gameplay. No commentary, sure, okay. I don't have anything in specific I want to. All 50 games, there you go. No, that's not what I want. I just don't care about you guys. So UFO 50, like for people who don't know, it's a collection. It's a collection of games for a console that never existed, basically. It's 50 games, okay? So it's 50 games like model after the 8-bit era, so NES style, the Master System style. Which, you know, overall, like on itself, it's already kind of cool because it's kind of it feels like lost media for a little bit. And they have like they have like a certain approach to game design that was kind of experimental, like in that time, and they actually took the same approach to the games that put on this collection. But here's the thing, like you could go like, okay, it's 50 games, like I bet these 50 games, not all of them are good. And as I was playing through the games and through the cartridges, because you have like a menu with like the old cartridges in 8-bit style to select from, I was going like one by one, and some games were not my thing. For instance, like this one, which is Bug Hunter, it was kind of cool. I played it a little bit, but the first one, which was Barbuda, gave me the Mega Man vibe. And I don't like how the character moves, but I like this is how some games were like, and I never liked Mega Man because of the movement. And this gave me Mega Man vibes, but even then, like I could still appreciate the game. Ninpak is like a very like traditional platformer. You know, like you have some cool stuff. Obviously, there's limitations in that these games don't have to be played nowadays, obviously. And they made it work. You got stuff like Paint Chase. Where is it? I skipped it. Magic Garden. Where's number 4? Paint Chase. There you go. Paint Chase, like you need to. It's basically Splatoon with cars. Okay. It's Splatoon with cars. Like, and I kept playing these games, and like, obviously you're not gonna find. Like. These are not games that would be played for like 40, 60, or 70 hours like you have nowadays. But like back in the day, a game would run you for 6 or 7 hours, and that would be a full game. And it managed to capture that feeling of like games being good enough for you to play for 6 hours and be like, yeah, this was a full experience. And the things like you play those games like that have all this sort of experimental stuff like going around. Some are puzzle games, some are like Mortal, for instance. Mortal is very weird, because Mortal, basically you do clones of yourself, but every clone has a thing of like you need to die to erase like an obstacle in your way, and you have to do it like in four lives in this case. I know. I thought it was very like interesting. The thing is, like, as I was going through the game, you'd find that game that was like, oh, this is it. Like, this is the game. Like they put the most effort on. Like for instance, you would go for like let me see if I find one. Warp Tank. I would play like a full-fledged version of Warp Tank easily. Anna de Mervon, thank you for the raid, and thank you for the 35 people. What are you doing? Why are you bringing people here of all the places? Thanks for the raid. Thanks for the raid. What's up, raiders? We're doing good. We're doing good. We're speaking in English. We're recording the first episode of what I would be like my weekly podcast. Just to collect my thoughts on games. Actually, I should do an introduction here. Let me put this on stop. So hi, welcome, raiders. I'm Portuguese. Okay, but we're doing in English because we're recording a podcast. I think a podcast. So yeah, like we're recording this for the first time. It's the first episode. We're doing this every Thursday now. I need to recollect my thoughts on games and talk to people about games. Portcast, exactly. Yeah, thank you for the raid. I'm a video editor for YouTube channels. I do gaming coverage here. Why are we behind the chat? Because I'm mostly because that's. Is this better for you? You like this? I was not like my monitors over here. I was not looking at things. I was hiding as well from the raiders. Yeah, so I'm a video editor, and welcome to my stream. We're talking video game news. We're talking video games actually. If you don't know what video games are, I also don't know. So yeah, that's. I hope we found out together. But yeah, we were talking about what my game of the year might actually be, because after long deliberations and after long thoughts of me thinking Balatro or Tekken was my game of the year, I came to the realization that UFO 50 was actually my game of the year, and I want to play this game more. Which is so weird to say, because like so many games came out this year that were so good. You got Astrobot, you got Astrobot. That's it. Now, even like the DLC, like I know people don't like the DLC being nominated as Game of the Year, but Elden Ring DLC was actually pretty good. Final Fantasy, you got Balatro, you got Metaphor ReFantazio. So many games that came out this year, they were amazing. But the one that hooked me the most and got me thinking more about video games was a cool indie game, or rather a collection of 50 indie games called UFO 50. And here's why. Obviously, like it's all games modeled after the old NES era, which is probably the era that I started playing on. Which obviously, like, the nostalgia factor is a big thing. But after that, you also have a layer underneath all of those games where they tell you a story. And the story about this is that it's 50 games that were made for a console that actually never existed. Like, it's a fake console that they made up for this game in specific, for the story. But they tell you a story about game development, and it's such a resonating story with these last years of, you know, like, video game overall, like, where you hear about layoffs, you hear about people like in the upper management coming like meddling into game development without understanding a single thing of it, and actually destroying things in the process instead of actually making the product ship. And they went there. Like, it's so cool, because at the end of the day, like, you got 50 games to play, so like, for a game of the year, it's pretty cool to have 50, right? And at the same time, like, you got a story underneath that really reflects how time is right now, like how the industry is currently. And it's so fucking cool, right? It's like, I could go for Tekken. Tekken is definitely like one of the games that I really played a lot this year, 180 hours to be honest. Like, hey, it's Streezy, welcome to the chat as well. What is CES Talk? CES Talk is, like, we're talking about the Consumers Electronics show that happened. Like, we talked about the graphics cards and all that. And that were announced, you know, the 5090s and all that. We are way past that thing, and I just don't want to sell a kidney to get a new graphics card. That was the whole takeaway. That's basically the too long didn't read of that whole talk. I don't want to sell body parts to buy a new graphics card. But yeah, UFO 50, like, I really recommend you PC players, because it's not available anywhere else. It's available on Steam. I never saw it on sale on anywhere else, even Humble Bundle or GOG or Epic Games. Like, the game is not in there, it's just Steam. So I really recommend you guys to play this game that we're looking at. So this is a collection of 50 games, and this one is Warp Tank, and you can see, like, the main gimmick is that you can teleport, kind of like what you had with V, you know, like that indie called V, or you could teleport between the top and bottom screen with your character, and you need to shoot people like this. Yeah, like, in the meantime, like, I was playing Warp Tank while I was trying UFO 50, and be like, this is the game where they put the most effort on, right? Like, this is the game. And in the meantime, I found Porgy. Body parts to graphics cards? No, I mean, graphics cards are so expensive nowadays. I don't want to sell my kidney. You know, like, that. Hopefully, it's just a metaphor at this point. Or, you know, like any other body parts to get money. Yeah. So, like, playing Warp Tank, very cool. I thought that was the game that, like, it's the poster child for UFO 50. And I got to Porgy, and then, like, Porgy is super cool. You play as a submarine where you need to collect stuff from the bottom of the ocean and be careful with your fuel tanks and all that. And, like, yeah, Porgy is the shit, you know. And turns out Porgy was very cool. But then I found out a game called, let me see if I found it here, Pin Golf. Pin Golf, from the concept alone, is amazing, because it's like, it's a golf game, but it's also a platformer. But you move by you know, by playing golf. Everything's just like so. Oh, and also pinball, I guess. Right? It's a pinball game with golf all in the mixer. Yeah, and you explode if you push yourself too hard, you know. Kind of like in real life. I don't know, like, they have a bunch of cool concepts in just one single game. Mortal 2 is like, it's another one, right? Like, you need to pick another, like, a bunch of so relatable, right? You need to pick a bunch of characters that all have different abilities and try to get to the end of the level. It plays a lot like, I guess, Lost Vikings, if you remember that game from the DOS era, I believe. I think PlayStation 1 also had it. And I was playing this like, this is it, right? Like, I thought it was Warp Tank. I thought it was Porgy. And then I thought it was this one, Mortal 2. And like, yeah, these games are freaking cool. And then suddenly I got to Valbrace. And I think I never spent so much time in a game as Valbrace. Because this is a dungeon crawler, like a normal, like a pretty run-of-the-mill dungeon crawler. But you fight like it's Punch-Out. In this case, like, he's doing spells and all that. But I want to see if I find a fight. There you go. Like, this is just Punch-Out, but in RPG format. And I was instantly hooked. And it's so cool, like, that they made 50 games of these. Like, taking into account that they were limited by a fake hardware that they decided, like, what that hardware would be as soon as they started developing. And every single game has, like, a bunch of details that you go, like, they didn't made it like the concept of the game. They really made the game, okay? So you got 50 games in one single package. I think it's like 20 euros right now. Plays great on Steam Deck, by the way. So if you have a Steam Deck, this game plays great there. And every time I looked at this game, and every consequential game that I was trying I was trying to find the flaw, right? I was going through all of the cartridges and be like, there has to be one game where they fucked up. Like, there's no way you have 50 games and one of them isn't at least a little bit shitty, right? But turns out every fucking game is amazing. Even if you don't like the genre. Like, even if you don't like the genre, you can actually tell that the game is actually all there. Like, you have the full experience. It's never just a concept of a game. And I don't know how they did it. Like, Pilot Quest is fucking cool. I would play Pilot Quest like a full-fledged version of this. You are like stranded on a weird alien planet, and you need to get out there and grind crystals to fix your ship. You got combatants, which you have. It's like it's like a strategy game where you produce bugs offsprings that you need to collect these balls, but you need to produce several types of units. Ones fight better, ones are quicker to get the balls in. Like, how do they do this? Like, it's honestly amazing. Seaside Drive, you are playing as a drifting car that reloads while drifting and doing a bullet hell shooter. Like, I think this game is fantastic, and I think it's my game of the year. Campanella 3, like, taking inspirations from games like I forgot the name now, but I think it's Contra. It's freaking amazing. Like, I honestly, like, if we're doing like later, if we're doing some like gaming live streams, I might pick up UFO 50 and see if I can play these games a little bit more and show you guys how great this game actually is. Don't be fooled by the limited color palette that this game presents to you, because these games are fun. These games reminded me a little bit of, why I enjoyed gaming when I was a kid in the first place. And I think that's really important, to be honest. Like, there's no microtransactions, there's no nothing. Some people are asking for like a 16-bit version of this, and I think that would work at all. But yeah, it's like, as you see, Campanella 3, it's just a shooter, you know, like it's... You got strategy games. You like strategy games? You can do Avianos, where you have fighting dinosaurs for competing for terrain. You know, it's Catan with dinosaurs. Who doesn't love this? Block Koala, if you want some puzzle games with koalas, fluffy koalas pushing blocks. It's amazing. Like it's a... I think they really nailed it down. And the fact that there's a story of the development, like of the fake development behind it, and they decided to actually tell a story that resonates with a lot of what the industry is going through in 2023, 2024, you know, and like these past few years since 2020. I think they made a complete package that really deserves to, you know, at least give it a shot. Like, get it on sale, because I know this is not everyone's cup of tea. But it's an excellent like game in the end. It's excellent 50 games. There you go. It's 50 games. My game of the year is actually 50 games. There you go. You can't go wrong with that. And I think that's we're wrapping up. I think we're gonna wrap up. I see you guys already sent me some news to react to. We're gonna leave that to the other episode. In the meantime, let's find someone to raid. If you guys have any suggestions to raid, you guys let me know. Who do we have? I think we're raiding Maya. Actually, we're gonna raid Globku. Globku is doing the new Bleach story mode. He might actually... you might actually like check that out. Bleach is looking kind of cool. Hope you guys liked it. Most of all, like I think this is the plan. Thursdays afternoon, we gather here. We talk about video game shit, and we, you know, do whatever. We do news. We do games that I've been playing. Games that you guys been playing. Send me your questions for the Discord. I'm gonna post the Discord link once again. If you guys want to join and send me your stuff. Discord is in English, please, because we have people that are not Portuguese in there. So let's try to keep it up as in a single language, so everyone understands each other. During the Discord, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna send you guys to Globku. Where's Globku? I can't find it anymore. There we go. Yeah, we're raiding Globku. Let's go. See you guys next week. And if there's other streams in the meantime, I'll let you know via Discord. So, yeah, let's go. See ya.